everyone, and welcome back to Tipoff 2023-2024. Dr. Ron Poniewasz and Professor Larry Kelly are your Tipoff teammates here for another week. And Larry Kelly, welcome back. You are a member of the Luxembourg, Arbit, Kelly & George law firm and assistant baseball coach with Penn State Shenango and former varsity baseball coach at Shenango High School. Larry, welcome back.
Listen, Lawrence County got to call in the fire trucks again last week, man. That is the greatest thing in the world. Got a chance to do it with the Shenango Baseball Wildcats. Got a chance to do it a couple times with the Newcastle Red Hurricane. When the fire trucks are leading the pack back into the city, it's a special occasion. And the Union Scotties, they had an escort by the Union Township Volunteer Fire Department, man. That means championship. Congratulations, Union Scotty girls.
I second it. That is our athlete of the week. The young ladies from Union High School girls basketball team, they defeated St. Joseph 50-43 in overtime on Saturday in the Class 1A final, WPIAL. And Larry, what a performance. They were down 20-9, I believe it was, early, double digits, found a way to get even and get it to overtime and get the win in overtime.
Mental toughness, laser focus. That's what champions are made of. And they did the job. You know, the one thing being in championship games you can't do if you get behind is panic and get out of your culture, get out of who you are. You can't do that because bad things happen when you do that. And obviously Union did not allow that to happen. They stayed true to who they are. And of course, when your star is better than their star, and I've said that many, many times, you're going to win in a championship game. And Kelly Cleaver had half the points for the Scotties, 25 points. And, you know, Kylie Frustorfer did a job on the Spinelli girl from St. Joseph, kind of held her down. And that's the recipe for a championship, my brother.
Yeah, you touched on it. That was where I was going next was Kelly Cleaver, 25 points, 9 of 16 shooting, 7 of 8 at the foul line. I always tell you, if you know, you can be a good player, you can be a great player, but if you're not a good free throw shooter, you're not a great player. Well, she's a great player because she's a great free throw shooter.
Well, and you pointed out, I think, in your column that all of the points in overtime were foul shots, and the Scotties were 8 out of 10, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the extra period. Yeah, you got to be able to knock them down, but you know, Kelly Cleaver's 9 for 16, which tells me that you know, she's scoring her points within the confines of the offense, taking good shots. The point guard, Kylie Frustorfer, as I understand from the column that was written, under a lot of ball pressure, but got penetration in the paint. We talk about this all the time. You got to get the ball in the paint and then make the right play, and she did. And I guess a lot of the buckets that Kelly Cleaver was able to convert were directly the result of assists from Kylie Frustorfer. So that's the formula, and Union did it, and they stayed true to who they are, even though they got behind early.
Yeah, the field goal shooting wasn't the greatest for Union. 15 out of 44 as a team. Kelly Cleaver was 9 of 16, which is great. That's over 50%. But the rest of the team, 6 of 28, 6 of 28. The free throw shooting carried them 15 out of 22. Again, got to knock them down when you get there, and they did, Larry.
There was one other factor, and I love this. And Mia Pruz, 14 rebounds in a championship game, baby. That brings a smile to my face. It reminds me of the championship we won at Newcastle when Donnie Cade, a young guy who plays baseball for us now at Penn State Shenango Valley, had 14 rebounds in the championship game. And I remember he had 9 in the last quarter, when every rebound is a test of your manhood. And I'll say that when you get 14 rebounds like Mia Pruz got, that every one of those championship rebounds is a test of your womanhood. I love girls like that. I love players like that, man. It may not show up in the box score points wise, but that's how you win championships. That's how you do it. You get in there and you control the boards and you do all the dirty work and you do everything it takes so that your team is wearing the gold medal at the end of the game. I congratulate these women. I congratulate Coach Nogue. It's a great day to be a Union Scottie.
Yeah, she, with the money on the table, she got that key rebound because they were trailing at that time. You know, it's toward the end of regulation, so you could easily chalk it up to they're fatigued, they're tired, they're behind. You know, if she didn't grab that rebound, but she did. You know, she fought through there and got it, and that was, as you mentioned, if not the biggest key to the game, it has to be right up there, really close.
But you know, I've always said this: when you win a championship, when you look back on it, there's always one or two plays or a call that maybe makes the difference. And if it goes the other way, you don't win. And maybe that rebound at the end of regulation is the one play that if you don't get it, you don't win. So it brings a smile to my face, man. I've been a blessed man to be part of, I don't know, it's been about 10 championships, you know, many of them at Newcastle, of course, one at Shenango. And there's nothing better. There's just nothing in the memories. You know, I'm down here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and our game started at 4:30, and two of my guys, Braden D'Angelo and Braden Ziegler, were playing for Westminster, and their game started at 4 o'clock. And I got a chance to go and watch those guys, and it just brings a smile to my face because seeing them brings back the memory of winning a championship. And Coach Nogue will be the same way one of these days, you know. And after our game was over, they sent me a text, "Geez, Coach, it was nice to see you." And I told them it may have been nice to see me, but it was better seeing you guys. So there's a lot of a lot of good things happen when you win a championship, but there's nothing better than the memories that you take that last a lifetime.
Hey, we touched on it last week with Elwood City, so we have to touch on it today with Union. With Elwood not being able to get the ball in bounds and throwing an interception at half court, Union had a similar fate on the side. They took a 5-second count with 4.9 seconds, I believe it was, left in regulation, a tie game. So now all of a sudden you go from possession, chance to win in regulation, a 5-second count gives the ball to the other team. And now if they score, we're not sitting here with big smiles on our faces and talking about a key rebound and this and that. So that was another key spot. You know, we have to talk about, you know, inbound plays, because if we did it with Elwood,
it's hard. You know, it's hard to get the ball in a side out. It's hard to get the ball in bounds. And I don't know what the circumstances was, but that's why if it's a tie game and there's under 10 seconds left and your opponent shoots and misses and we get the rebound, I don't call timeout. I never call timeout. Why? Because if you call timeout, it just adds another element to the game, and that's getting the ball in bounds, which isn't always easy. And then the defense can set up on the other side, and maybe they're going to change the defense, you know. So was the ball on a side out because Union called timeout, or was it just the ball was out of bounds and it went to Union? Do you recall?
I don't recall, but I remember it was a side. It was on the side, and it was 4.9, I believe it was, and Union was on the other, you know, their side of the court, you know, St. Joe's side of the court.
Yeah.
So,
you know, the other thing that we used to do at Newcastle a lot, and I did in particular, was on side outs. Don't let them get it in easy. It's not easy to get the ball in on a side out. It's more difficult on a side out than it is when you're taking the ball out under your own basket. It is because you're limited by the half, well, not necessarily by the half court line, but in ways by the half court line. It's just not as easy. So, that's the type of play that can turn a game around.
Anything else, Larry, on the Union girls winning the district championship, improving to 19-5, and heading on into the state playoffs?
Just congratulations. You know, I've always said, first of all, winning it twice in a row is very, very difficult. And it's a big deal winning the WPIAL championship. And I've always said at Newcastle and at Shenango, after you win the WPIAL championship, the rest is gravy. You know, if you make a long run and you win a state championship, that's nice. But even if you don't, man, you've had a great year, and you get the ring, baby. You get the ring, and it just brings a smile to my face. I'm happy for the coaches. I'm happy for the girls. I'm happy for the parents. Nothing better than winning a championship.
And before I list all the girls' names that won the championship, I'll ask you, Larry, we've talked about this many times, that Union, just a few years ago, as you mentioned, they were always the team that was on the wrong side of a 53-16 game or what have you. But from afar, what would your words of advice be to any young boy or young girl in the county, no matter where they're, what school district they're in, whether you're in a school district that has a good program right now or a program that's really, you know, behind the eight ball, like a Wilmington Boys that didn't win a game this year? What would you tell them to get themselves to the point where they come up when they're in varsity to take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and be good?
Well, you have to be committed, Ronnie. It's like nothing else. One of my favorite sayings from Ben Franklin is, no gains without pain. And if you want to win championships, you got to be committed. And in high school sports, Ronnie, it's 10 months a year. You know, if you're not willing to pay the price, you know, at Newcastle, we only had 2 months off, April and August. If you're not willing to pay the price those other months, then you can't enjoy a championship like they have at Union. And that's a culture. And, you know, not all the kids are willing to do it. And not all the coaches are willing to do it. And not all the school boards are allowing the coaches to do it. You know what I mean? Sometimes they interfere. You know, it's not, you can't make it mandatory that a kid show up at practice in the off season. That's not, that the WPIAL and the PIAA forbid that. However, you know, the coaches are there, and if you want to win, the players are there. It's not mandatory. You don't have to be there. But if you want to win, the kids are there. They're committed. 10 toes in the water, as Coach Tomlin likes to say.
Yeah, these young ladies are all committed. They were committed last year for sure. Committed this year. They were even committed, you know, for several years, because this group came up together and played their hearts out for the Lady Scots. So the Lady Scots of Union High School, these are the members of the team. Seniors: Bella Cameron, Kelly Cleaver, Kayla Eppinger, and Ariana Pavelko. The junior class is Kylie Frustorfer, Addison Nogue, Mia Pruz, Hayden Strickler. Sophomores: Olivia Benedict, Chloe Confer, Miera Gunn, Maddie Settle. Freshmen: Ireland Fisher, Maggie Joseph, and hopefully I pronounced all of those ladies' names properly. Head coach Rob Nogue, and the assistant coaches Jim Cleaver and John Frustorfer. Again, congratulations to the Lady Scots for a fantastic job. It's only half done. Now they're getting ready to go into the state playoffs and try to pull off another repeat of a different variety.
Yeah, that would be special. But even if it doesn't happen, winning a WPIAL championship, it's a big deal around here, and it's something you remember forever.
Mm-hmm. All right, stay tuned, everybody. We have a couple of topics. We'll run through the schedule, as well as talk about a couple of interesting things, tidbits from around the region and around the country. And we will do that on the other side, right here on Tipoff.
We all know there's an advantage to being the home team, to playing at home. And at LGKG, we have been your home team for personal injury cases involving automobile accidents and workers' compensation claims for over 90 years. At LGKG, over 10,000 clients have trusted us to represent them. We know how to present your case to a Western Pennsylvania jury. We know what makes them tick. We know how to win.
We're back with you here on Tip-Off for our secondary group of topics. We're going to tell you about the upcoming schedule for Friday and Saturday that involve our county teams. We have 7 teams left. And then we have a couple of items that involve whether it's local teams per se that are outside the region or around the state or around the country. And you'll find out, but you have to stay tuned with us. And first off, Friday, March 8th, 7-3 Union versus 5-2 Turkey Foot Valley. So that's WPIAL 3 seed against District 5 2 seed. Again, Union versus Turkey Foot Valley. This is boys. Girls basketball, we have WPIAL 3 seed Neshannock at Chestnut Ridge, District 5 2 seed. The other game is District 10 3 seed Wilmington at WPIAL second place Avonworth. So back to the boys real quick, Larry. The Union boys, they defeated Rochester in the third place game in the consolation after they had over 100 points scored against them against Amani Christian. Good way to bounce back against Rochester, a team that they're very familiar with. How do they carry that into the state playoffs against Turkey Foot Valley, a relatively unknown program to them?
Well, any team that's in the state playoffs is there because they're good. So there are no cupcakes. You don't know much about these teams. You can get on Huddle and review some tape, but you just got to go out and play your game, do what you do and do it well, and take it one step at a time. Survive in advance.
Neshannock girls at Chestnut Ridge. Just your thoughts, Larry, on is Neshannock in house money type mode? They're such a young team. Caitlin Freeze would certainly love to win. She's a senior, but everything that they're doing from here on out, the more they play, the more experience they're getting for not only this year, but beyond.
I don't think it's house money. Luann ain't never playing with house money. She wants to win.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough with a young team, and they're going to be on the road. This is a long bus ride. It's tough. You're going to be playing with officials that, you're not used to, that may call the game a little differently. It's going to be tough, but if anybody knows how to do it, the Neshannock Lancers women certainly do.
Wilmington, the Lady Greyhounds, are in the state playoffs for the third time in their history. Second year in a row that they've won 20 games. However, Larry, did you know that Wilmington is 0-2 all time in the state playoffs?
Maybe it changes this year. I don't think any of the women that are playing on that team really know about or care about what their playoff experience has been. Every year is a new year, and you got to be fired up and ready to go. It's a new season, and it starts this week.
Absolutely. Saturday, we have 4 games on Saturday. 3 of them are boys basketball games. WPIAL 4 seed Neshannock at District 10 runner-up Franklin. That'll be a really interesting matchup. The 7th seed out of the WPIAL Elwood City Lincoln at District 6 champion Westmont Hilltop. And the WPIAL 3 seed Mohawk at District 9 champion Montauk. That rounds out the boys' games. The girls' game that we have on Saturday is District 9 5th place seed Port Allegheny heading up to Newcastle to visit Union. They're coming up to Lawrence County for the WPIAL champs, the Union Lady Scots, Larry. So transitioning
now,
back
do all these teams get a home game, Ronnie? Do the higher seeds get a home game in the first round?
They do get a home seed as long provided that your gym meets certain standards, I believe it is, because
okay.
With the boys on Friday, Turkey Foot Valley's gym is so small that they're playing at Pitt Johnstown. So otherwise everybody else is hosting a game. Not for us in terms of county, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a big advantage playing at home, and all of the men in Lawrence County got to go on the road, and it makes it difficult. Not impossible. It's tough. The bus ride, playing in a visitor's gym where they have the comforts of home and probably going to have a few more fans, but it can be done. It can be done. Every one of these Lawrence County men's teams is capable of a long run in the state playoff. Every one of them. And of course, the Union women will be playing at home, and Neshannock, they have a young team, but a coach that has a lot of experience. So it wouldn't surprise me if all of those teams made a long run.
Yeah, the Union girls are the lone county team out of the 7 that'll be playing at home in the first round. Neshannock Franklin figures to be quite an interesting game. Franklin had won 3 straight District 10 titles, and they lost in the District 10 championship, so they're a 10-2 going into this one. Elwood City, they have a really strange road that they've navigated. Probably by rights should have defeated Deer Lakes in regulation. Very likely
Yes.
should have defeated them in overtime. Didn't find a way to beat them either time. So then they're playing at home against York. I believe, no, it wasn't York. It was Derry, I believe. They were playing home against Derry in a consolation game, got blown out by 19. But they got it done when they had to get the 7 seed against Westmont Hilltop. And then the last one is Mohawk bounced back pretty nicely, and they defeated Neshannock in that 3rd place consolation game. So that's how they're the 3 seed. Pretty favorable matchup for Mohawk, especially with Montauk being 13-11.
Mohawks at home?
No, the Montauk is hosting because they're a district champ.
Yeah, they're district champs, right? That's what I thought. So, again, playing on the road, not easy. It's just not. There's it's a 5-point advantage at least when you're playing in your home gym. But every one of these teams, I believe, has the talent to make a long run in the state playoff.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, the only team from the county that is hosting is the Union girls. Larry, how do they avoid a letdown of any sort, especially early?
It's the biggest trap game of the year, and we were always concerned about that at Newcastle. You go from playing at the Peterson Event Center in front of thousands of people to playing in a high school gym. It's a trap game. However, playing at Newcastle probably is good for them because it's a home game. It never used to be a home game, that first game. It was on a neutral court. I'm sure they're going to get a pretty big turnout. And I don't think the Union girls get to play in Newcastle's gym very often. So I'm sure they'll be excited to play in the field house that day.
Well, it'll be at Union. It's at Union. It's on the Lady Scots' home floor. So
I thought you said they're playing at Newcastle in the field house. No,
he's coming up to Newcastle. The general direction. They're coming to Lawrence County.
Oh,
okay.
The game's all right. Well, they're playing at home. That's even a bigger advantage. But again, it's a trap game. You go from playing at the Pete to a high school gym. You go from playing for the gold to starting the journey again. It's a trap game. It really is. But I'm sure Coach Nogay will have his team ready.
Yeah, go ahead and refresh us with the story from the Newcastle boys playing at Butler in the first round of the state playoffs. Was it against Monitor or somebody? Very sluggish first quarter, and I remember the guys wake up. And
we were losing.
Yeah.
We were losing in the first quarter. We were, and then again the boys woke up. I think it had something to do with Coach Belundo's voice in that huddle between the first and second quarter, and we end up blowing them out. But it's not unusual. You win the WPIAL, and all of a sudden, it used to be we're playing the number 2 seed from the City League or the number 2 seed from District 10. These were good teams. So, but I look for Union to move on.
Okay, so that closes us up for our local teams. Larry, throughout the year, we've overlooked one thing that I'd like to comment on is we do have coaches that are coaching outside of Lawrence County. With Grove City High School, Chris Pollock, a Mohawk graduate, is the Grove City head coach, and he's assisted by Jason Rankin, a Newcastle graduate, and they are in the state playoffs in Class 4. And also Chris Mell, the Hickory boys basketball coach. I believe he's a Union graduate, former Shenango girls basketball coach. He's also in the state playoffs. Larry, getting back to Grove City and Sharon in the consolation game of District 10, I'm not sure if you heard about this or not. I'll go over this real quick because it's really, really weird. I've never seen it. Even Chris Pollock after the game said it was new to him. He's never experienced this. Grove City was up 3 points with 1.5 seconds left in regulation. The game did not go overtime. I'll just put it that way. So the Grove City's up by 3 with 1.5 seconds left. A Grove City player gets fouled, but they were also called for a technical, was Grove City. Apparently, because the officials thought they sent the wrong player to the foul line to shoot the free throws. So both teams essentially made one of two at the foul line. Sharon split their apparently the free throws for the technical, and then Grove City, which was fouled, had a 2-shot foul, and they split them. And then it's Sharon's ball, and they're attempting a 3 to send the game to overtime, which should have never come to that. Any thoughts on that?
Grove City sent the wrong person to the foul line. How in the world
I'm not sure.
I can't believe that happened. I know Jason Rankin and I know Chris Qualick, and I'm telling that had to be a mistake by the official. It had to be. They did something to cause that.
That's what I think I'm led to believe is the referees might have pointed one way and Grove City thought it was on the other. But regardless, I think the referees probably told the wrong kid to go or whatever. There was mixed signals, but really, we're going to go through this in a state or a district consolation game. This isn't a tip-off tournament. We're talking a lot is at stake here.
Yeah, that should never, ever, ever happen. Right. And if the wrong kid steps to the line, the referee who made the initial call is supposed to step in and say, "No, son, it's number 10 who's shooting this foul shot." Chris is a great coach, and Jason, that's a lot of against. Wow. Oh, man. I'm sure that didn't make them happy.
Yeah. I mean, they were that close to having a brush with overtime and maybe even worse. Again, that's not on Grove City. That's an official's problem.
Listen, I'm a big believer in allowing the players to decide the game. The official shouldn't be the deciding factor in a basketball game. And in that situation, they got to bear some responsibility for what happened.
Yeah.
They just do.
Another one that stems from around the state, farther out east, Lancaster Country Day was had to drop out of the state playoffs, Larry, because the school is on spring break and they won't have enough players to compete. You're the head coach. How are you feeling about that?
Well, look, if my players don't want to come to practice and come to the game, I used to tell my teams all the time, this is your team, not mine. This is your team. You know, I'll be here for you. I'll help you. I'll do whatever's necessary to get you ready. But at the end of the day, it's your team. You don't want to show up, then so be it.
Yep. Okay. And then lastly, we will touch on this. I showed you, Larry, in between segments, the New Jersey basketball tournament game, Camden, and I'm going to pronounce it. Hopefully it's pronounced right. Manasquan. Camden apparently won the game 46-45, I think was the final score. They hit 2 free throws. The second one put them up 1. The opposing team, I believe it was Manasquan, they went down. They had 5.8 seconds to go or something like that. Pushed the ball up the floor, missed an outside shot, got a rebound inside. The ball was released with about 7/10 on the game clock. Clearly, you can hit pause on it and see where the ball's in midair and where the clock is. One referee signaled good basket. The other 2 came in and overruled him. Boy, I tell you what, I'm glad I don't coach because I wouldn't be able to handle that.
Wow. I mean, I'm sure the referees are sick about that. They don't want to make a mistake like that. It costs the team a game. They don't. These guys are dedicated. They take pride in what they do. They are evaluated every game that they're in. It shouldn't happen, though, Ronnie. It shouldn't happen. You have a lot of eyes. Maybe you got to go to the scorer's table. You got to get it right in that situation. And unlike college basketball or professional, you don't have the light on the backboard when the horn sounds. But you got to get it right. You do. I'm sure the only people that probably are more upset than the coach would be the officials who were working that game.
Mm-hmm. And 2 points here. I'll go in reverse order because I don't skip this one, Larry. But apparently they have this rule on the books that says, hey, once the officials leave the court, the game is official. There's no going back on it. We can't look at film. We can't do this. We can't do that. However, they also are able to look at film and say, well, there was a fight in this game. Which kid was it? You can't tell me, let's look at the film to find out who's in the wrong in this fight, but totally turn our back on it to say, well, did we get this right or wrong? If you're gonna turn your back on it one way, then you have to turn your back on it the other. And otherwise you have to make things open on both ends.
Listen, I'm a strong believer in common sense, but I believe it was Mark Twain who said common sense isn't so common. If there was video of this and they refused to look at it, then shame on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to get it right.
Yeah, that happened last night. We're filming this on Wednesday, so that happened on Tuesday. And today at some point, I'm not sure if it was the state of New Jersey or the officials, whatever it was, there was an apology that came out and said, hey, we made the wrong determination. We made the wrong ruling. Again, I don't want to hear that. You bleeped up. You did. That's where I'm coming from. And that's from a calm person. But that's very rare in this situation, because if I was the coach, wouldn't be calm. I'd be calling my lawyer, Larry Kelly, because I'd be in trouble. Well,
but there's look, I think the greatest compliment, I'm a big Ralph Blundo fan. I am.
Mm-hmm.
I watch high school coaches act like fools on the sideline all the time and get technical fouls and get 2 technicals and get thrown out of games. I've seen it. I've watched it. It's embarrassing to the school, to the team, to everybody involved. Ralph Blundo never got a technical in the 12 years that I was at Newcastle. And if there was one time that he could have got one, was 2 years ago, the call against us that sent Rodney Gugger to the foul line with 0.8 of a second left in the game. Ralph, again, he didn't get a technical. He acted like he always acts,
mm-hmm.
in an appropriate fashion. And you talk about a situation where you could really lose your composure, and he didn't. I think that speaks volumes about who he is. And when I watch coaches act like fools on the sideline and get thrown out of games, and I think it's embarrassing.
Yeah, that's for sure. Not sure how many fans that Camden's going to have on its side as it moves forward into the New Jersey playoffs. That's for sure. I'm sure if you don't have any allegiance to either team, people are going to be rooting against them because they feel that they don't belong in the playoffs right now. They got away with one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it happens. There are worse fates in life, Ronnie, than losing a basketball game. And, you always got to keep everything in perspective. And, and coaches can't lose their composure because the players are watching.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said when a high school coach, whether it's baseball or basketball or football, when that coach loses their composure, the players will lose their composure right after. And you can't let that happen. I wasn't the greatest coach in the world. Nobody's ever going to say I was. But I coached 25 years of basketball and never got a technical foul. And I coached, varsity baseball for 3 years and never got thrown out of a game. I guess that's what happens if you act up in a baseball game, they throw you out. Never, ever did that happen. And I'm, again, I'm not the greatest coach in the world, but I'm proud of that fact that, I didn't lose my composure And so my team didn't lose their composure.
Yeah. Okay, before we wrap it up here real quick, one graded play from last week. I have two, but I can't find my sheet for it. Over under on how many times Larry Kelly says get the fire trucks ready last week. The prop was 2.5. You said it 0 times last week. So if you had under 2.5 last week, that's a winning ticket.
Yeah, well, guess what, man? Those fire trucks were fired up when the Union Scotties came home. I love it, man. I love it when fire trucks escort us into town.
You said it twice in Athlete of the Week this week, but that does not count for
It
last
does not count. Okay, I'm all right with that.
Not with last week's graded plays. And moving forward, we wish our county student athletes, coaching staffs, fan bases, what have you, the very best of luck as a new journey starts this coming weekend, Friday and Saturday in the state playoffs. Another goal for more gold. The best of luck to everybody that is going to be taking part in these basketball games. We will be back here next week to talk who's still alive and who is still playing. We'll break it down for you next week. He's Larry Kelly, and I'm Ron Poniewasz. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week.
We all know there's an advantage to playing at home, to being the home team. At LGKG, we've been your home team personal injury attorneys for auto accident and workers' compensation cases for over 90 years. We know what works and how to win. We have all the credentials. At LGKG, we don't take every case. We handpick our clients so that we can give you the attention you deserve.
Kelly, what can you say just about the journey of winning the first program title and now defending it?
It feels great. We came in here, we knew we had a lot of pressure on our backs, and we started off a little bit shaky. We didn't come out the way we wanted to, but if you think back to last year in that state run, we were down almost every game at halftime. So he told us, it's nothing we're not used to, and it wasn't, and we battled back, and I'm so proud of my teammates and the way they knocked down shots.